Went in with a dual major in mind, engineering and an engineer. You need anything to drink while like a beer or something?
No, I gotta drive right after this, and I gotta
Okay.
gotta stay up and write this bad boy. So
Okay, all right, good enough.
yep. All right. First, can you state your name?
I'm Charlie Dunn, born and raised here in Marion, Ohio.
All right. Would you like me to call you Charlie?
Charlie, that's what I go by.
All right.
Everybody calls me Charlie.
All right. Charlie, can you tell me about your background and why you joined the military?
Okay, when I was a freshman in high school at St. Mary's, I was really devastated when the Japs went and bombed Pearl Harbor and all that and started that thing. I just got a very ugly feeling in my makeup, which was at that time I was probably as skinny as any Jap, but 5'11". And so when it came time for me during my senior year, you know, it's funny. I went to the Palace Theater that Sunday afternoon when this happened. It was the 7th of December, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going to a movie there, and all of a sudden they stopped the show, and they put a typewritten banner across there. The Japanese have bombed Pearl Harbor, and we're going to hear from the president as soon as possible to see what he's going to say about it. And it took about a day or two, I think, for him to come back. So that really shook me. It really shook me, yeah.
Okay.
And it shook my class. Now, my class was like 50 people, pretty much 25 boys, 25 girls. And by the time the junior year was over, about 12 of the boys had already left school to go most of them in the Navy. See, I don't know why, but they all went to the Navy.
Oh, yeah.
And then in the senior year, the rest of them graduated, I think, but they went in right after that then. And I was given my notice from the military to report for a physical in April, right after my birthday that year, April of '44. And so I went down to Fort Hays in Columbus. That's where they would take them to get their physical. And I think they paid for the bus ride down and back, you know, so that was okay. And they said, "Well, Charlie, we're sorry, but you can't get in the service because you're too skinny for your height." And at that time, I was 5'11" and a half, and I weighed about 117, something like that. So he said, you can come back in 6 months, and if you get up to 28 pounds, we'll take you gladly. You know, so I was really frustrated because, you know, this is a patriotic war. I mean, this is just the way everybody wanted. They really got with it, see. And so in the meantime, then I get the job firing on a railroad for the Erie. That's when it was just plain called the Erie.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a mid station here between well, let's see, Kent was the next station where they changed crews and trains, and then Marion, Indiana, and then they went into Chicago. Huh. So anyway, I started firing on the steamers, and when you were in the yards switching cars, you had a hand with a shovel, you know, to shovel the coal in the engine. And I'm getting ahead of myself though, because something happened on the engine one time where that worm that comes through there, you know, and comes up right by where the fire door is and it blows it in. And this was what you call a duplex engine, mm-hmm. Because they'd come up each side, a big round thing about, 12, 15 inches around, and that would that would be blowing the coal in, see. And the fireman didn't have any control over that because you just have to shut it off when it got too hot,
Oh,
and
okay.
otherwise you clinker it up. And
Mhm.
so in that time, I was on a swipe one time. A swipe is a work train that goes from Marion over to Kent, clear over to Kent. It takes us about usually 15 hours. We stop at every town, every way, so you just pick up a car or two and drop off some. And then on the way back, a couple of days later, or a day later, we have a whole train, and we drop them off at the same places on the way back for stuff coming in from the east.
Okay.
And so that's where I learned to fire an engine, and the engineer taught me how. It's just a nice easy swing,
Mhm.
and I'll demonstrate it.
Alright.
It's one of these big shovels. It's a big shovel.
Okay.
And so at that time I could handle it because I was ornery enough to try to handle it anyway. And the idea is to, here's your firebox right here like this. And here's a fire door. Well, if you need some flow up in that end or up that end or right in the middle, you go in here and you take the shovel and you tilt it a little bit to the left and bang it, and it'll go that way. If you want it to go
Okay.
that way, you tilt it in, bang it, goes that way. And then you really have to bang it to get it back in these corners here. See, it's close.
Yeah.
So I learned how to do that, and I didn't break my muscles or anything. I just took my time on it. The
Yeah.
engineer told me how to do it, and he showed me how to. And he was smaller than I was. So I got happy with that, because a lot of times when you go over to Kent, Ohio, and you're ready to come back with another train, they sideline you there on a work train for a while, maybe 2 or 3 days, and they're all hand fired. The work train in those days are all hand fired,
Mhm.
so that became a little tough. Well, anyway, that's a lot of time invested in that, just that beginning. What I got more proficient on the big road engines, and for that reason I got to be a fireman when troop trains were coming through. And I would get called, and I'd be able to be the fireman on a troop train, and that made me feel good because I,
Yeah.
maybe think, well, I'm doing something for the Army, even if I'm not in. And I'm talking about the Army because I didn't want the Navy. No, wait a
Yeah.
minute, I'll take that back. I did want the Navy, but okay. Now let's travel along till October. 1st of October, they got diesels in.
Mhm.
First diesels of the whole Erie Railroad came to Marion, because here you have a good experimental place, because you got hills going up and then going down, a little grades, like a 2 or 3% grade, which is a big drag on it.
Mhm.
And what can happen is that they lose these drawbars because of
Oh, okay. They'll break
jerk-
apart.
Break apart, yeah. You, break the drawbars, and then you tie up the thing when you got hot trains coming through with the tanks, with a load of tanks or something, for the Army. You don't have it tied up. So the diesel, when you start it out, you go out very close, very slow, maybe for 3 car lengths, maybe 4 car lengths, till you a car length of one of the big box
Right.
cars, until you get it stretched out, so it's taut all the way along.
Mhm.
Because if you go like a steam engine doesn't have that much of a power, and,
Correct. Yeah.
and that would go out. You can just take off in a steam engine with it. All right. So when I got those, that was really nice. But the engineers just love the steam engine because they can make it toot a certain way, or they
Yeah.
can make steam come out. And one of their girlfriends is over there, they wave at them, Especially when you went from Marion down to Dayton. We had
Yeah.
a branch line at that time. A branch line went down to Dayton, and sometimes those were hand-fired engines all the way. But I still got a kick out of the engineers. So when these diesel came along, and they didn't like them too well because they're just too much power.
Yeah.
And they just all they do is sit there and just run like accelerator, whatever you want to call it,
Mm-hmm.
the handle there for that. Whereas on a steamer, you have a couple things. First of all, you got a little thing that goes around like this, and that turns the amount of steam going into the boilers that propel the engine, see?
Mm-hmm.
And some of them do it too much, and so they use too much coal and they clunker it up.
Oh.
The engineers I watched, 2 or 3 of them, they were super. They just go a little bit, a little bit like that, and then they would pull their throttle out a little more, and it was a nice smooth takeoff,
Yeah.
So, all right, and now we get to let's see. Get to my next physical was like in the 1st of December, I think. About the 1st of December of 1944, and back down to Fort Hays in Columbus. And in the meantime, I only weighed about 124, 125, 123 maybe.
Yeah.
And I got about 10 pounds of black market bananas from a girlfriend I met. And she worked at the Kroger. Kroger used to have a little store, right across the alley there from the east side of St. Mary's Church, the first building there.
Oh, yeah?
They had a store that went all the way back to the alley. And she worked in there, and I got the black market bananas there. And I got on a bus then. I just walked to the bus line. It was uptown, and my Oak Street's not that far away. So got on and started eating these bananas, and everybody was asking why. Well, I'm trying to get in the Army. I'm trying to get in. I said, yeah. I was too light the last time I was there. I got to get about 4 or 5 pounds more before they're going to take me.
Yeah.
So we get down there at Fort Hays, and we started going through the whole thing, and the same guy that examined me before examined me again.
Yeah.
And so if he after everything was done, he came back and he said, "Well, Charlie, I got some bad news for you. You don't weigh 127 yet. You only weigh about 125." I said, "You got to be kidding me! All my buddies at school have already gone, and I mean they are, and I just feel bad that I'm not out there with them somewhere too, even though I'm behind times."
Yeah.
And I really wanted to get in. That's why I ate the bananas. And he said, "Just a minute, Charlie. Let me go back, and maybe I made a mistake back there on that thing." So he came back and he said, "Hey, Charlie, you weigh 127. I'll take you."
Nice.
Yeah. So now the next thing was just strictly military stuff. You go through a line. You're going through. One guy goes to the Navy. Another guy goes to the Army.
Oh, yeah.
Another guy's the Navy or Army and Navy. Army, Navy, Army, Navy. And we get up to this fella. Now I'm only 18. This fella ahead of me was probably 35, 36, and he was chubby.
Yeah.
And he walked slow, and he didn't want to go in at all. And they said, "Well, you got to go to the Navy." He said, "No, I can't go to the Navy. I can't swim. I don't want to go to the Navy." I said, "Let me take his place. I'll go to the Navy."
Yeah.
Then the guy says, "Get back in line." So I ended up in the Army just because of that.
Nice.
Right, and so then I got shuffled out to Camp Atterbury, Indiana, and that's what you call a staging area where they figure out which Army basic training outfit you're going to go to. There's one down, there's some down south, and some over east, and there's some out west. And
Where'd they send you to?
They sent me to Fort Robinson, Arkansas. Fort Robinson, Arkansas.
Can you spell Robinson just like the last name?
That's right, yeah, Robinson.
All right.
Fort Robinson, Arkansas. And there I took basic training. It was about, I think, 16 weeks, or no, it wasn't that long. More like 12 weeks. 12 weeks, or 10 weeks maybe. Because they were needed men over at the Philippines real fast. They also needed men over at Germany because of the bulge was just coming out. That's when the Germans ran that bulge thing on us,
Yeah.
That was a hell of a fighting deal. So after my basic, I had a fairly good IQ, and they decided to give me advanced training in a military police school, be a military cop. And I said, well, that'll be something. 128-pound guy, you got to give me a 200-pound guy to help me out.
Were they willing to do that for you?
No, because I didn't even get any MPs. By the time I got overseas, I was still considered an MP, but we went down to Fort Ord, California after that, and took 6 weeks of advanced infantry training, and I'm still an MP.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they had funny names, you know,
Yeah.
military prick, everything like that. I shouldn't have said that.
No, you can say whatever you want.
Okay,
That's,
right,
yeah.
So, anyway, after the 6 weeks there, we got shipped out, and this happened to be in August, and it was August the 8th or 10th or something, I don't know what. But anyway, we get down to the docks there and start getting ready to get on the ship. You know, there's guys coming from all directions,
Mm-hmm.
besides our group from Fort Ord. And newsboys come down and started hollering, "Atom bomb dropped in Japan," you know.
Oh,
My
okay.
God, we went crazy. We said, "Hey, we don't have to go over there. They're dropping atom bombs. They're gonna end that war. We won't need it. They won't need to fight them."
Mm-hmm.
I said, keep going, get on the boat. Fortunately, we had a big gangway to walk up, you know, and that was nice because we had a full pack. You know,
Yeah.
a full pack, which is about 38, 40 pounds in those days. And so then 17 days later, we end up at Leyte, the Philippines. But on the way over there in the Marianas and Saipan and all that, those little islands around there, we went through what they call not a tornado, but it's sort of like a tornado. It's a
Typhoon?
typhoon, yeah, typhoon they call it. And the waves got real big, you know, and all that. And at night, it came on us at night, and the bunks, you know, for the troopers being transported, they got about five bunks lined up all along one side of the wall, over here, and then they got them in the middle of the thing. And so I think I was in the third bunk up or something.
Yeah.
But anyway, about midnight, when all of a sudden you, that's the damn, I thought the ships were going to break in half. It's just the way it was hitting those waves and all that. It was really bad. It's a bad sound, but I guess it held together.
Oh, that's
And
good.
so we finally got into Leyte Gulf, and we were
How would
probably,
you spell Leyte Golf?
oh, what?
Do you know how you would spell that?
Leyte, L-E-Y-T-E, Leyte, L-E-Y-T-E.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's all one word, though. All one word, yeah.
All right.
Leyte, L-E-Y-T-E. And this is one of the southernmost islands. Samar is right next to it, you know. Leyte and Samar are right next to each other.
Okay.
And anyway, that's what they call a replacement depot. They had, oh, let me tell you about, when we were on this Navy transport ship, to protect the Navy guys, they had Marines on there to keep the Army guys from getting in a fight with the Navy guys. You know? So, I mean, I didn't know that till we got in, you know. But then they put the big rectangular ropes over the side, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I forget what they call them now, but it's that's the way you get off a ship in those days.
Yeah.
And there was a big raft down below. It had to be over 100 yards long. I mean, it was huge.
Really?
Yeah, we were out there where it was probably 40 feet deep, 50 feet deep, and so we got on this, and it had a motor on the end of it, and it turned around and just like but it's only made for getting troops closer to shore.
Mm-hmm.
They can't get you in. So we got into about where it was up to our waist, jumped off and got in that, and waded ashore. And so I got something out there in the hallway that says, "Charlei Dunn, waded ashore the day the peace treaty was signed." That was September 2nd, 45. No, wait a minute. Yeah, Yeah, they signed the peace treaty, that's right, September 2nd, 45. That was about 17, 18 days after the August.
Right.
No, it's September 2nd,
September 2nd?
1944. That was the day they signed the peace treaty over in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Because after they dropped those atom bombs, it only took them
Yeah.
4 weeks to decide, and they surrendered. So now I'm still an MP, and I'm in the Repple Depot, and they start looking at a guy's credentials and all that, and they see that I can type good and all that, and I don't know why, so they sent me up to Manila to be with the U.S. Army Training Group, and they were training Philippine scouts for occupation duty in Japan, because the Philippine scouts were when the Japs were there, they kept organized out in the hills, you know.
Right.
And when the Americans got there and started in, they still got in and did a lot of business on the Japs because they needed what they wanted to, you know.
Mm-hmm.
They were hurting all their people. So now we were up to us to train them to what their duties would be as an occupation force as opposed to a fighting force, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I immediately became postmaster. They made me postmaster of the outfit, and so I was in there for about 6 or 8, maybe 6 months at least,
Mm-hmm.
and then maybe only 5 months, and then they found out I could type real good, so then I could do 55 words a minute without any mistakes, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned on blank keys.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, that's what they taught us when we were sophomores at St. Mary's. So, then we go, I go across to the headquarters of where MacArthur would be. Anytime he comes to the Philly, that's where he would go. They call it AFWESPAC, AFWESPAC. AFWESPAC, AFWESPAC, Armed Forces Western Pacific.
Okay.
Yeah, we call it half-ass pack sometimes. Anyway, I got to be a chief typist and clerk for the colonel in that outfit, so
Okay.
got a few more privileges from that, you know,
Yeah.
and it was nice. And then also, while I was in Manila, even while I was still with the USATG, U.S. Army Training Group, I met a couple Philippine girls, sisters that came to a dance, you know,
Right.
and their parents and uncles were all members of the what do you a symphonic band, a symphony band of Manila's symphony band, and this girl was just my age. She was about 18, and I went to her house to take piano lessons from her, and of course, if the parents weren't there, the maid was always there,
Right.
and so there wasn't that much scrounging around, you know, you'd think it would be right after wartime.
Yeah.
And so it was through her that I got invited to the, see, I was trying to find these about an hour ago and waiting for people to come in. This didn't happen. And if you think you need something like that as added, I'll try to get it. It's a book showing when they went to Malacanang Palace, I think they called it. And they had a big dance there when they became independent, when we made them independent.
Oh, okay.
Independence Day for the Philippines. So I was there, and there was a Swabie there, a Navy guy.
Mm-hmm.
I was just a corporal at the time, and no, actually I was more than that. I was probably I was a staff sergeant at the time, because before I got out of U.S. Army training, they kept moving me up because all their old guys were going back to America, see?
Right.
Yeah. So every 3 months I'd get another advancing grade. So anyway, I was there, and a Swabie was there, probably with some stripes about like me, which would be equivalent to an Army Navy guy.
Mm-hmm.
And there were a few generals there, or admirals, just about 6 or 7. And that's all. No, and I just couldn't believe it.
That's
We
cool.
got to dance a little with the girls and have a nice meal, and it was really great. I've got pictures of that too, and maybe I'll show you sometime.
All right.
Bring them to you if you want to do it.
So would you
Follow.
say, how were you received by the people then in the Philippines? Did most of them like
they
treat you
loved
like heroes?
Oh
and-
yeah, they did. Definitely, they did.
Okay.
But there was a little friction between the blacks, and that's because of the length of something. I think, so, you know.
Yeah, I think I know where you're going with that.
Right, yeah. But, okay, that's the only resentment I had, but no, they accepted us because, you know, we did them good and all that,
Hmm.
and they helped us beat the Japs too. They got up in the hills and lived on minimum rations, and, you know, and still were able to fight and become like a terrorist, you know, against the Japs, just like the
Oh yeah.
Al-Qaeda, just like the Al-Qaeda guys do. And so now, got to be around September and October, and I found out I was going out, and if I could go back to my thing in the Army, just to tell you about the patriotic
Yeah.
things. We'd lay over in Kenton before, or Kent, up there where the university is.
Okay. Can see. Yeah.
Before we go back to another train to Marion. And so a couple of us would go to a movie or something downtown.
Hmm.
And we'd walk along, and we went by this school. We had our railroad clothes on, and they could see we were young. And it's, hey, you draft dodgers, you know, and all that crap, all kinds of insults they hurled at us because this is how the people felt. They were really had the feeling for the war, you know. They had the patriotism for the war, and they took it out on us, thinking we were cheating. But we were. I wasn't going to tell them I was 4F, you know. That was.
Yeah.
So I finally got in after that, but that really disturbed me for a while.
I bet.
Yeah, right. So it gives you an idea of the different fractions of the.
Right.
People.
Different times.
Yeah. Okay. Now we're back over there. They had what they call top three grades, top three graders for swimming pool, great big swimming pool, two beautiful homes in the east end of Manila.
Hmm.
We took them over, and right in between them, where the yard was, we took that out and put in a big swimming pool. And only sergeants, let's see, sergeants and staff sergeants and others, they call them the first three graders,
Hmm.
because it's the third, the second, and the first. And they were allowed to go to that and enjoy that on Saturday night dances and everything. And it was great, because you would get, for that dance, a lot of these Philippine girls would come in, and some of them were, you know, Portugal had a lot to do with the Philippines back in the 1500s and so long in there. And these Portuguese girls are still springing up real nice, and they're a lot taller than the Philippine girls. And they were beautiful. I mean, they're unreal.
Hmm.
But you know, we just danced with them and all that, or bought them most of them wouldn't drink a beer, but you get a soda or Coca-Cola or something like that, you know.
Hmm.
And so now, when it came time to leave, and I found out I was going to be getting out, I had some. Oh, wait a minute. They had a black guy that ran this Philippine steakhouse, and they caribou steaks, you know.
Hmm.
And we went out there one time. It's fantastic how he made those, and they were really juicy. Of course, we had about 5 or 6 beers with them too.
That always helps.
Right. But the guys that liked me because I had one of these, what they call it's like a pickup truck we had. It just hauled 12 men and back if they want to, you know.
Just a troop carrier kind
Yeah,
of
it's
thing?
not the one that has the big dual wheels on it.
No.
This is just a big four-wheeler, you know.
Okay.
And so I had a Philippine scout that was my driver, and he'd come down and take us wherever we had to go at night or when, and that was nice to have,
Yeah.
because the war was over and all that, and we were enjoying ourselves.
So, did you guys, since the war was over and it was a little more relaxed, did you guys play a lot of pranks, or how did you guys pass the time since there wasn't?
We went down to, I forget the name of it, but it was about 50 miles south of Manila. And it was a place where you could go, it was like it had the special water in it, what do you call the water like we have here some places, for bathe, you can bath in it, you can play in it.
Like a, like a,
Well, like we had one down here towards Richwood. You go east off of the road there, go over that town over there, and that was a big one. They had these special hot waters and all that there,
oh, okay.
and this water was warm.
Hot water spring kind of?
Yeah, it's spring. That's what I was trying to think of, spring.
Okay.
I'd call it mild springs, but it was well known, and so we got to go down here one time, and we all had to take a sidearm, and I took my 45, and a couple of them took their not the M1, but the smaller bore, not the smaller bore, it's hell, I forgot all about these things. I was trained on the M1 for the sharpshooter, but I also had got the sidearm over there. But we had to have these in case they have there's still some Japanese holdouts in the hills around Manila, see.
Mm-hmm.
We get down that way, and there's more of them there than there are up around Manila or even north. So we had no trouble with that, but we were prepared. We had about 10 or 12 of us that went. And we got a game of football up, because this thing was, well, it's just about, I tell you what, it was about as wide as this kitchen, maybe 2 feet wider than this kitchen from here down to the football. And we'd play in there, going back and forth and tackle.
That must be fun.
Yeah, right. We got a little.
So, did you ever have to fire your weapon, or did you ever engage the enemy?
No.
No?
Did not
Okay.
have to, no. No. They knew I was coming, so they.
So they ran and hid?
They knew Charlie Dunn was on the way. Okay. Now, when we went to go back, before we went back, why, about 10 days or 2 weeks before that, why, MacArthur had come in there, you know, and he was going in and out every day. And finally he decided he had to go back to America with his family, so he had his wife in there where his office was, and his young son, Arthur MacArthur. Did you ever know that? He had a son named Arthur MacArthur. He was about 14 years old, 12 or 14. And I got tabbed to be a honor guard when he left the building. We had steps he had to go down, you know, quite a ways, and then get him into his vehicle for transportation to the airport, because at that time he could fly back on island hopping. He could still island hop all the way back to they'd go out to the Marianas and then go on to go to Hawaii and go into Frisco or wherever they're going to go. It would be a twin engine plane. I don't think they might have had some 4-engine planes then for flying. So that was something nice, but I never got a picture of that. But I did get a lot of pictures of the town. I was up in a big Chinese cemetery in the northern part of the city. I was up on a hill, and you look down, you can see the whole Manila. And I took pictures of that. And a Chinese cemetery is unreal. It's so fantastic. If I had those pictures, well, I should have gotten them out. When my son gets here tomorrow, Steve's coming home tomorrow, and we'll get him to help me find them. And we got everything, things out in the garage up on shelves and
Oh yeah.
all that, so it's wait a minute. Oh, I see something right out there. Let me take one quick look out here. I see something here I forgot about. It might be one of them. No. That's just a little phone. I thought it was a thing going back all the way.
Oh.
It's a big, quite a big one.
Yeah.
Right. Now, one thing I forgot when we were getting off the ship on the barge,
Mhm.
and we get about, once we get loaded, we get about, try to get this.
Hello.
Hello? Okay, we lost it.
Pardon?
Phone over there. The,
Hello. Well, hello, Kev. How are you?
who is it?
Not too many. Only 25.
Apples and oranges at us, anything else to get a hold of there.
Me too.
Down- And
Me too.
I had a great wing. In fact, I played baseball over there in the
Lovely.
Real Stadium when I was a right fielder. And so I'd catch one of them and throw them back, and then I got a hold of one a little bit later and got one and put it right up on the bridge of the ship
Nice.
where the captains and those guys were standing, you know. So everybody was doing it. It was
Yeah.
strange. They were throwing them down, just throwing them back. That's the way things go sometimes.
Can I
Yeah.
fix you some ice cream or something?
No, actually, I think I have enough to write my story. But if there are any other stories that you, anecdotes or anything that you think would help me in writing it and profiling you, that'd be great. Anything I haven't asked you about or anything.
Okay. Well, the only thing I really like is that because I was a staff sergeant when we sailed back,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the officers were gone. They didn't use officers so much anymore, see? And so they didn't get to use these swank rooms and all that, and meals. So we were using the same thing as first lieutenant or second lieutenants on up would use. And we were like staff sergeants and tech sergeants and they call them the first three graders. You know.
Yeah.
And so that was really nice going back compared to those damn things on the side you had to lay in, you know. We had regular beds and all that, great quarters and all that.
How long did the trip last the way back?
17 days, yeah.
17 days?
Right, yeah.
Okay. And what did you, what port did you come back into?
Come back into, I think it was Frisco, rather than, we went out on the big town just north of, what was that, big,
Oakland?
Oakland, yeah, I think we went out of Oakland and come back to Frisco.
Okay.
And we had planned on going up to the top of that famous hotel there, the famous thing in San Francisco
Mm-hmm.
that would serve things, and we got in okay. But most of us were still only 20 years old. We couldn't even get a drink. If we wanted
Oh.
to get a regular drink and a beer, they wouldn't even sell us a beer. Can you imagine that? Been over a year and a half overseas, and they wouldn't give you anything like that. And the other thing was, it was sad, but it's just the way that people are. No one was down there to meet the ship or anything like that, unless the guy lived in Frisco or something. Then his parents would know about it, and they'd be down to meet him. But you know, you don't see anybody on the dock cheering or anything like that.
Yeah.
But the first ships that came in after the war, they had.
Yeah, you sticker tape parades and
Oh
all
yeah,
that.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was different, and I think that's all. I'll show you what my son did, Kevin. You know Kevin?
Yeah.
Okay. Here's when I got home. Sergeant Charlie comes home November 6th. Private Charlie waited ashore in Lake API September 2nd, 45. Yeah, finally get that right. The day peace treaty signed. 2 months later, PFC sent to Manila U.S. Army training, we trained Philippine Scouts, Occupation Japan, made postmaster, then corporal, 3 months sergeant, 3 months more, and then staff sergeant. Transferred to G3 Intelligence at F. Westback, as chief typist for division colonel. Served honor guard for General Cross, building for USA. Charlie left October 46 for boat ride home, 17 days.
Nice.
That's pretty neat, I like that.
I do too.
Yeah. Okay. So,
Well, I'll be sure my profile meets a little bit of that.
okay.
Once again, I want to thank you
Okay,
for letting me interview you and tell me your story.
if I can find those books, that'll really tell you a lot.
All right. I'd like to read more about it. Maybe find them by Christmas when we all meet up together again.
All right, yeah.
And by that time, I don't know how long it'll take to compile all the profiles of all the other people who are getting interviewed, but
Right.
by that time I should have it. So
When I was going home, I had the